Hey guys, in this week's Casually Criterion episode, we are going to review Solaris. But before that, we are talking about the Academy Award nominees for 2023. So, join us!
Hello and welcome to the Casual Cinecast, powered by the Cinelinks. This is Chris, and with me as always is a figment of my imagination, Mike. How are you doing today?
What? I don't know. You tell me then.
Well, it's still up in the air. The important thing is I am a figment of Justin's imagination, so I don't know what's happening. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. What does that make Mike to me?
Whew.
Is Mike also a figment of my imagination?
I guess he would be, but he's a figment of my imagination in your imagination. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
indeed. But what does it all mean? That's the thing.
I feel like during Solaris we might find out when we talk about it.
yeah.
Hopefully. All right. If this is your first time listening, this is a Casually Criterion episode, which we do usually every other episode where we review a film from, you guessed it, the Criterion Collection that is voted on by the listeners via our Twitter page. Before we get into the main review, we'll be doing our usual News on the March where we talk about what we've been watching, except for this week where we're talking about all the things that the Academy nominated for potential awards for the Academy Awards. So, if you haven't seen the movie, you could still listen for a little bit. Then we'll move into our Casually Criterion review. It'll all be time-stamped. Spine number 164, Solaris.
That's right. And as Mike said, we put the polls for our Criterion films out on our Twitter page, so you can follow us there at Casual Cinecast. You can send us messages there to ask us questions about any of the movies we're reviewing, or you can also email us at casualcinemedia@gmail.com. And then, of course, if you haven't done so already, you like the show, you want to help other people find it, go onto iTunes, go onto Spotify, give us a review, 5 stars, 10 stars, thumbs up. You know the drill.
Yeah, please and thank you.
Smash that like button.
Smash that 10
Yes.
stars.
Yeah, smash it all.
Smash those stars.
Yeah, and subscribe and all that stuff. So, all right.
And send us $100.
Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
News on the march!
Thanks for joining me in News on the March, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Who wants to get us started on the Academy Award nominees? Where to begin?
I guess I have to watch Elvis.
Oh, have you
I
not?
guess I don't have to watch anything, but I guess I should try Elvis. You guys watched it, right?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw it at home, but yes, I've seen it. Yeah,
You could see it on HBO Max.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know that if you're talking about it's nominated for Best Picture, so now you got to watch it. So I guess that's a good place to start talking about the Oscar nominations.
Sure.
Yeah. Good segue.
Thank you. I still need to see All Quiet on the Western Front and Women Talking, which might happen soon. Hint, hint. And otherwise, yeah, I mean, I guess this is mostly stuff I would have picked.
Yeah. I think All's Quiet on the Western Front and Women Talking are also the only 2 Best Picture nominees that I have not seen. Women Talking only because it just recently opened
Yeah.
wide enough for me to see.
Yeah, I kind of like these picks. How do you guys feel about them?
Is Elvis the only one you haven't seen?
I haven't seen Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking. So those are the ones I have to catch up on. But for the most part,
Yeah.
I'm okay with these. There's no...
Yeah.
Elvis is the closest it gets to Green Book, or what my expectations are of Elvis is the
And
closest.
Elvis is better than Green Book.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear.
That's very true. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that would win that it would feel, even if Elvis won, which I don't think it will.
No, I don't either.
But if it did, it wouldn't feel as bad as
Yeah.
yeah.
actually kind
Yeah,
of.
I agree. There's not anything that's going to, like, there's no Crash, there's no Green Book, there's nothing that's going to, like, make everyone mad, I don't think, if it wins.
Do you think if Elvis won that people wouldn't be mad? Like, especially over, like, Everything Everywhere All at Once? I think that would be.
I think Elvis, it would be the one that makes them the most mad.
Yeah.
Because it's so, you know, we've seen it before. Like, nothing in Elvis is new except for just the potency of Baz Luhrmann.
Sure, yeah. Well, I think, no matter what wins, something, people would be mad about something, right? Like, I mean, I've seen people mad that Everything Everywhere All at Once got nominated, you know?
Well, they're dumb.
So, so there we go.
Do you think people would be mad if something like Top Gun won?
Probably.
There would certainly be some, especially, I mean, I think there are like a couple of movies that, you know, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once or The Banshees of Inisherin are ones that I think are really great and have a lot of people that really, you know, like, they feel more artsy, I guess, they're saying more than something like Top Gun.
I think, though, here's the thing, is artsy movies win all the time, and no one cares. Everyone continues to not care about the Oscars. So if they really wanted to, like, get some attention on there, they should go with, like, a Top Gun or, like, an Avatar situation.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see Avatar win, and I think it has a bigger chance. You know,
I do too.
Yeah.
Also, what we should say is we're not like Oscar. You know, there's like Oscar people that, you know, follow this really closely and have all the locks down, and we're not exactly like that.
Yeah.
But
Get more
that
analytical.
sounds like a terrible way to try to enjoy the Oscars.
Yeah. I think all of our number ones from our best of the year got nominated for Best Picture, right?
Yeah, I think my top 3 did, so
Well.
I'm pretty happy with that.
yeah,
Yeah. My top 3 did not. Only my number 1, 2, and 3 are missing. So, which would have been Babylon and After Yang. But
Yeah, well, speaking of, before we move on from Best Pictures, are you guys upset that some of your favorite stuff didn't make the cut?
I think I would have liked to have seen Babylon on there just for the chaos factor.
yeah.
But I think the one that took its spot would be like Women Talking or Triangle of Sadness are the ones that kind of like took its spot. And
Well, I don't know. I think Justin kind of hit the nail on the head the other day in our Discord channel when he said that maybe the Fabelmans ate up some of that Hollywood love of itself.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And that I think Babylon, while it celebrates a lot about Hollywood and the magic of movies, it is also very critical about certain things. So it's not quite as feel good. Whereas like the Fabelmans, Hollywood is the coping mechanism and the thing that makes everything better, sort of. And it's sort of dreamlike.
And as someone who gave Fabelmans Babylon the same rating, and neither one of them were on my top 10, I think Babylon is probably the more interesting movie.
Yeah.
But I think this is more like a favor to Spielberg is what this feels like to me, because I don't know. Fabelmans didn't do a lot for me emotionally.
Yeah, me neither.
It did more for me, so I don't mind it being on here.
It made me not like his mom,
Yeah.
which I don't think was the point.
Sure.
Probably not.
It made me think his mom was complicated as opposed to...
It made me think she was mentally ill based on the performance, but
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think there is some of that in there. Yeah.
But anyway, okay, yeah, Best Picture. So, all in all, pretty strong lineup.
Mm-hmm.
What about Best Director? So we got Martin McDonagh, The Daniels, Spielberg, Todd Field, and Ruben Östlund.
Yeah. I mean, if it were up to me, I would take Spielberg out of there. And not that I dislike Spielberg at all, but I could think of other people that I would like to see in there, I think.
Yeah, I think realistically the strongest chance for the Best Picture, Best Director combo is going to be Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and The Daniels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think that's where my money's at.
Mm-hmm.
I think, hasn't it... Well, I don't have the information right in front of me, so this is just guessing, but hasn't the last, like, few years, like, the Best Director goes to a different movie than the Best Picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So we might get a split. I could see like Everything Everywhere All at Once getting Best Picture and Spielberg getting Best Director.
Right. His departed moment.
I also think it's his departed moment, and the swan song. Like, who knows when we get him again? You know, like I'm sure we'll get another couple movies from him, but you know,
Right.
who knows what we get? And, you know,
And who knows when he's going to make another movie about movies again?
Yeah. Hopefully we're past that phase, and we can just make movies.
Maybe. But I mean, it's a good lineup. I mean, everybody on here deserves it for one reason or another. And I feel like, hasn't it gone to a lot of like foreign film directors lately, like recently?
I'm trying to think who
I'm
got it
drawing a
last.
I remember,
on-
didn't Cuarón win for Roma?
Well, there's like a
And-
series of like 3 years where it's
Inarritu.
Cuarón, Inarritu, and Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Maybe that wasn't that recently. I don't know. But
And then did
More recently than traditionally.
yeah.
did Bong Joon-ho win for Parasite? I think so.
I can't recall off the top of my head, but I think so. I know he won a bunch.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
He
him up
should've.
there being
Yeah,
like having a good time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not really a foreign language film because Triangle of Sadness is not.
Question.
Yes.
Best adapted screenplay. All's Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. Is Glass Onion and Top Gun, are they on this list because they are sequels? That's what makes them adapted?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess because just technically they can't be originals because they're
Gotcha.
built on something else.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I like Top Gun a lot. Now that we're here, I don't
Screenplay
know
is
that
not
this-
its strong suit,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, it's not what gets you in the theater.
Yeah, but more power to it. I'm excited about Living, which has a strong tie to our Criterion Collection episodes because it's a remake of Ikiru.
Oh yeah,
I am
Yeah.
interested in
Which
that.
I really want to see.
me too. I have a feeling it might be like
Ikiru is good.
women talking or Glass Onion though.
Be interested.
Yeah, Women Talking and Glass Onion feel like strong
Yeah,
contenders, especially because Glass Onion's all wordy and Women Talking is Women Talking.
Yeah,
I assume.
I think like I just have this feeling of someone who hasn't seen women talking and be like, well, they're talking and somebody wrote those words, so like it must
if-
be. It must.
What if
That's got
there's
to be
no
more
talking?
compelling than like Maverick flies a jet really fast
Yeah.
and good,
Yeah.
and it'll look good when we film it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same logic as like when you are making picks and like a for the Oscars and you're making your predictions and you get to like the best documentary shorts that no one have seen, you just pick the one with the most interesting name.
Sure.
You
Or
know.
about the Holocaust.
Yeah, or that if you can tell. But anyways, that's never failed me. That strategy. But I think Women Talking is kind of the same. But original screenplay? No?
Yeah. We got Banshees of Inisherin, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness.
This is a really good-
very strong lineup.
Yeah. Oh, great. I couldn't even begin to pick a winner probably, except I could say maybe not Fablemans. Otherwise, everything
Yeah,
deserved.
Fablemans
Yeah.
is probably the weakest script per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say, for me, it's Banshees, but that's also like my number 2 movie. Tar was my number 1 movie, but I think that movie is better with like direction and acting, you know,
Sure.
than like
Yeah.
the screenplay itself. But
Yeah.
Banshees, I think, is just a really strong screenplay and could work as a play.
yeah, I'm
Like,
thinking.
the source material's just got a lot there.
Yeah, I'm thinking which one of these is like the most entertaining to read, probably, and it's got to be Banshees
Yeah.
or maybe Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, Triangle of Sadness would be a wacky screenplay to read, I bet. It was certainly a wacky experience to
Yeah.
watch.
Some things would be like, you know how like the violence that happens off screen is more violent than what you actually see on screen. Sometimes it's like
Sure.
kind of the same thing with reading Triangle of Sadness. I feel like there'd be some moments that would like blow your mind to read if you didn't have the image with it, you know?
Yeah, you're like, my goodness,
This is nuts.
so much vomit.
Yeah. All right, best actor?
Yeah, so,
Brendan Fraser, moving on.
again, yeah. Yeah, strong lineup here. I haven't seen Living though. Again, so. But anyway, Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun, and Bill Nighy for Living. So.
The people's pick, Paul Mescal there. Although it's probably Brendan Fraser, but
I think Brendan Fraser's but it might do like the Mickey Rourke thing, like he did for The Wrestler with Darren Aronofsky, and everyone is so sure it's going to be him, and then it ends up being like Richard Jenkins.
I think Colin Farrell is going to win. That would be my pick right now.
Yeah, Colin Farrell's probably like my number one, but then I would say equally Paul Mescal or Brendan Fraser could easily walk away with this. I've seen a lot of love for After Sun recently.
Yeah.
And that guy in particular.
He's going to be a gladiator.
Yeah. I think it's Brendan Fraser. Sorry. I don't have any doubt in my mind.
No doubt.
Yeah? Mm-mm. That would make me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would make most people happy, and that's why it's going to happen.
Yep, exactly. I don't think anyone's wishing Brendan Fraser ill will.
Nah.
No.
Same.
Except maybe the Golden Globes.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same about Best Supporting Actor. Who will win that one?
Oh, yeah? Who?
Ke Huy Quan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love this guy?
Impossible not to.
He grew up and he's just as charming as he was whenever he was like a little kid in the 80s and all those movies.
That was no acting back then.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually watched an interview recently with Steven Spielberg talking about him, because I guess it was like the SAG Awards or something, where they were both together, and he Ke Huy Quan won, and he thanked Spielberg for being in the audience, and they had like a reunion. I watched a little video about it. It was fun.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Spielberg talked about how he's like the exact same now. Like when he was a kid, he had like the biggest open heart in the world, and was like his enthusiasm and optimism for life was just like really infectious. And he hasn't really changed. And I'm like, that makes me happy.
Yeah, good.
I wouldn't mind seeing Barry Keoghan win either. I hope I pronounced that right. I think so. But I think you vote also. Sometimes you like, or they vote. They're like, you know what would be cool to see him like Kai Hu Quinn on the stage and giving a speech. That he's going to give a charming speech. You vote for him to give a speech essentially. So I think he'll win, and I think Barry Keoghan will get a chance to win. He has turned in a bunch of great performances. The other one that I'm really happy to see is Brian Tyree Henry.
Although I haven't seen Causeway yet.
Neither have I, but he is pretty great in everything.
Yeah, I've never seen that guy not deliver a great performance.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, Best Actress. We got Kate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle Yeoh or Kate Blanchett are taking this home.
It's one of those two.
Michelle Yeoh's... Oh, good.
I was going to say, I think Michelle Yeoh probably edges it out, but that's my vote too. But
I think you vote for her again for the speech, and then while I think I like Kate Blanchett's performance quite a bit, but I think she already has some, and she'll probably have other opportunities where I'm not as sure about Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, in a different year.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, in a different year, Kate Blanchett's got it wrapped up.
Have you guys...
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's just an exceptional year because, I mean, I think everyone who watches Tar immediately walks away being like, she was great. Like, that's just like, no matter how you feel about the movie, no one can deny that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Everything Everywhere All at Once is like, it has like Slumdog Millionaire vibes about it right now. It's a crowd pleaser and people like it. And I feel like it could go the distance and sweep anything that it's nominated for, really, honestly.
I think that's very possible.
Wasn't the thing that got the most nominations recently that walked away with 0 at the end of the night?
Oh, interesting. I mean, that's
or
possible.
Maybe just one. I can't remember. I think that happened recently.
Yeah. This has a ton of them, though. This is almost like record-breaking. I don't have the stats on me, but it's close to like tying with like Titanic and stuff
And
like that.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think those were like 14 or something, and this is 11.
yeah. Have you guys heard about this Andrea Riseborough stuff? Like, it was kind of a last minute. A bunch of people started tweeting. Like Edward Norton started tweeting, like, "Oh, what a great performance," because nobody's seen To Leslie. It like made $30,000 from my understanding in theatrical release, but people started like tweeting about it and holding like kind of smaller screenings for it, and then she got nominated. I
mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
It's a good story, but if no one's seen the movie, then like no one's going to be super excited about this win.
Sure.
You know?
I think what happened is people got excited about the movie, and that's why she's nominated.
Right. I mean, I'm certainly going to see it when I get the chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas before, I hadn't heard of it, so that's a good thing that happened, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about it. I find it curious, the whole how people campaign and stuff like that for Oscars.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress: Angela Bassett, Hong Chow, Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stephanie Hsu.
It's weird that both Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu got nominated for the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe don't nominate Jamie Lee Curtis for that movie and let other people have it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Jamie Lee Curtis feels like another one of those, like, who knows when we'll get this opportunity again,
Sure.
Should have nominated her for Halloween Ends.
I was about to say they could have nominated her for a whole different movie, and they didn't even do that. So
yeah,
how bad did they really want that?
I just hope that like the clip they play of her is her with like hot dog fingers and stuff.
Yes,
or like one of the really silly ones where she's like jumping through the air.
Yeah, yeah,
like screaming.
Yeah.
The clips are going to be insane for everywhere. All
yeah, I haven't thought about that, but yeah, every time that's nominated, the clip they could use will just be like, "This is an Oscar-nominated film."
This ridiculous, weird movie.
Yeah,
I think my favorite here would be Hong Chow, honestly.
really.
But yeah, I mean, Angela Bassett was good.
She's good.
She might actually get it just because of like the movie that it's in.
She was the best part of the movie in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah.
Carrie Condon's really good too.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Well yet, but I did see the
Hong
Menu.
Chow, it feels like a big year for her.
Yeah.
She's breaking out. So
The
I feel
Menu
like
was really good. And you know what? I've been watching Poker Face was just released, and she is in that in an episode. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
groovy.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like she was the one part of The Whale that I was questionable on performance that I couldn't tell. I was going back and forth whether it was a good or a bad performance. So apparently it's good. Confirmed.
Yeah, I say it's good. So
bad is too strong of a word, obviously, but like there were just times where it was kind of off-putting to me. So clearly I am wrong looking at this list.
That's what I thought when you said that.
Yeah. So anyways. Moving on.
Yeah.
Best animated feature.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Pinocchio. I watched the bad Pinocchio this year, so
Yeah.
I didn't have another Pinocchio in me.
I watched the first half of Pinocchio, and then I was not feeling it that particular
You
evening.
watched the first song, right? Or something like that?
I think it was 2 or 3 songs in. Basically, he was running around being loud and obnoxious and singing songs, and I was like, I can't deal with this right now. Maybe another time. For some reason, it was just irritating the heck out
Are you
of me.
talking about the Del Toro one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, it was grinding my gears, but it wasn't bad by any means.
There's a really great performance from Cate Blanchett in there as well.
Oh, yeah? Who is she?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to watch the movie and then figure it out, because it's the reveal of who she plays is just as fun as anything else.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. And the other ones are Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I have only seen two of these, which are Turning Red and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yeah.
Between the two, I would easily pick Turning Red.
Yeah, same. I think
Turning Red's really good.
Yeah.
Sea Beast is good as well. I like Marcel, but it's weird.
Marcel was just a little too, like, purposefully adorable from, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
yeah, I didn't
Just a little too much.
Yeah, I didn't buy it as much as I wanted to. Like, I kept getting taken out of it by things that felt forced, I suppose. Like,
That's how I felt about that Joaquin Phoenix movie where he talks to a kid for an hour and 45 minutes in black and white.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw that one, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen Puss in Boots either, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I hear it's like the best Shrek movie in the franchise since Shrek 2,
Wow. High bar.
Certainly doing
which I don't
well at
remember
the
because
box
I haven't
office.
seen it since theaters.
Yeah, I think Pinocchio will win, though.
Yeah, I think that's probably safe.
Yeah.
I think
I wonder, though, I feel like Turning Red got a little overlooked by a lot of people because they didn't get the traditional theatrical release that Pixar movies are given. It was kind of just dumped on Disney Plus, which I think maybe kind of like took some of the air out of its sails a little bit.
Absolutely.
Totally. I agree.
Okay, anyway, best cinematography?
Bardo, obviously. We talked about that when I did the best of, and it was, or when we did the best of, and it was on my list.
That's your pick.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just happy to
So,
see it here.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you list the rest of them
No.
for everyone else?
There's no point.
There's only Bardo.
All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, obviously, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar.
Empire of Light, I think everyone missed, but it's Roger Deakins, so I think I think no one saw it. They just knew it was Roger Deakins, so they just went ahead and nominated it anyway.
Think, oh yeah, he shoots stuff that looks good.
Yeah. He's never steered us wrong. Honestly, out of all of these, of the ones I've seen, since I can't pick Bardo, since I haven't seen it, I'm going with Elvis.
Out of those,
Yeah, I mean, Elvis was a very impressively filmed movie, regardless of what you think about
yeah,
it.
it was the best thing about the movie, in my opinion.
The way it was shot and edited. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is typical of Baz Luhrmann, right?
Yeah, it's got style.
yeah,
Yeah.
particularly shot is what I was thinking, but yeah, editing too for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys
some of
want to
these
go?
start getting diminishing here.
Yeah. I don't know if we have other ones that are worth like diving into too deep, unless you guys want to call out anything specific. Mike, you want to talk about best original song and any snubs in that category?
Yeah, I mean, I already said this on our best of the year, but my favorite original song, "Apartment for Sale," performed by Kate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr, was not nominated, and I think that is a shame.
Oh man, that makes me laugh. I watched that clip on YouTube the other day just to think about your joke and laugh while watching it, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting robbed of seeing Kate Blanchett on stage performing this.
Maybe we can get it in like the opening monologue.
But yeah, anything else we want to talk about here?
Best animated short, I think, is pretty clearly going to go to "An Ostrich Told Me the World Is Fake," and I think I believe it.
It's the best title for sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
well,
that's
I don't
why
know. My Year of Dicks.
yeah. There's My Year of Dicks.
But
That's,
I actually watched My Year of Dicks. It was recommended.
I bet you did.
In my yes. No, it's actually really good. You guys should. I think it's on. What is the streaming? Not Daily Motion, but like the. Justin, you put a bunch of movies on there, like your short films and stuff. What was it?
Vimeo.
Yeah, Vimeo.
Vimeo.
I think it's on Vimeo.
Okay.
Anyways,
Okay.
check it out. Google
I'll look it up.
My Year of Dicks. I recommend everybody do that.
Not at work though.
Okay, so here's the thing. Best visual effects. I mean, it's got to go to Avatar, right?
If it doesn't, then this category makes no sense. But
Yeah.
weirder things have happened.
I could see
It'd
that
be
going.
weird if like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever won.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
a mistake.
Or the Batman.
Yeah. Although the Batman's a good looking movie, but it's no Avatar.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good.
I could
That's
see it going to
cinematography
Top
we're
Gun.
talking about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't see anything else that I really want to. Oh, Yeah, here's the thing. Decision to Leave didn't even get nominated for Best International Film, which
Oh yeah.
I thought for sure it was a shoo-in.
My-
Because that's like the most I've heard of an international film all year was that movie.
Yeah.
My understanding, maybe it was RRR, which that's another thing that I look forward to watching.
That one
the
wasn't
song.
submitted as like
Yeah.
a
Okay.
contender, so it couldn't have been
I think I was getting
nominated.
those two confused because I guess Decision to Leave was. Man, that is a real bummer. And it should have been at least nominated. That's like Best Visual Effects or Best Looking Film, Best
Yeah, like
Cinematography.
Best Editing.
Yeah, that really...
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a glaring error.
Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to talk about this category because it's maybe one of the only ones that I have not seen any of the films yet.
Did you even try, Justin? Did you
Obviously
even
not.
try this year?
Yeah, obviously not. I didn't see Argentina 1985. My bad.
Real quick, Best Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Top Gun Maverick, probably. That seems like where the sound can shine the most in a technical category.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Maybe Avatar. I don't know.
Maybe All Quiet on the Western Front. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it, but I
war
imagine
movies.
that has some pretty intense sound work.
Oh, here's something for Babylon. Best Original Score.
Yep.
There we go.
And of all the things nominated, that's the one I would choose because I remember that score.
Yeah. I agree.
Wonder if that goes to John Williams again. He's just like,
I mean, maybe that might be like one of those career things
yeah,
because
he's got like a
he's like
cabinet full
96
of them.
years old.
He melts them down, and he could like have a sword made of gold.
He
He's
makes
got so many
instruments
of
from them.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Right.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about with the Oscars this year?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think that's
That's
I
fun
mean,
though,
overall,
talking.
pretty strong year,
Yeah.
better than most years.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. There's not that. Yeah, there's not that one where I'm like, oh God, what are you guys thinking? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. They couldn't you have just
That's
done
true.
9 instead of 10? You didn't have to do 10.
Yeah.
It's optional.
And I like that Avatar and Top Gun are in there. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, and I think they both are deserving to be in there too. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think of the Academy Awards, they always want to go for like the artsier stuff that no one's heard of. But, you know, if the Oscars wants to survive, they need to try to embrace the good mainstream movies whenever they can, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's
You know what I
all-
mean? Because, like, no matter how good Tar is, there's just certain people that will never, ever watch it.
Sure. I also
But
think
they will watch The Batman or...
sure, yeah. I also think just like go to a streaming service and air your thing because I don't have regular TV anymore. I can't just like turn on the Oscars. I'm gonna have to like do some sort of like bending over backwards to try to watch it because it's not on a streaming service. So that's also a thing that they could do to improve their viewership.
Yeah, just throw it on YouTube and throw some commercials in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's on Hulu normally, isn't it?
It's on Hulu if you buy their like, because I did this one year. You have to do their like TV package, which is like $80 a month. But I
What?
did like the free 7-day trial, so I immediately canceled it after the Oscars.
I hope so.
So yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm still getting charged.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. All right. And with that, are we ready to move into our feature review?
Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
cancel this subscription.
Okay. Go
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
That's
then.
the best time to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Spine number 164 Solaris review starting now.
At precisely 1900 hours, I entered the cabin of the spacecraft and settled back for liftoff.
Ready, Kelvin?
Ready.
Good luck.
Donatas Banionis, Vladislav Dvorjetsky, Natalia Bondarchuk play the leading roles in Solaris. The scene is somewhere in the cosmos. The time, the distant future. The place, a planet yet unknown to us.
All right. So as always with our Criterion films, they're films that have been out for a while, sometimes decades. Some of them at some point probably will be out for over a century, which is weird to think about. But anyways,
Some of them already have been.
yeah. So what that means is we won't be doing our usual spoiler-free section that we do up front for our newer films. So we're going to jump straight into talking about Solaris. We might spoil it from the get-go. So if you don't want anything spoiled, don't want anything about it, go watch Solaris now and come back and finish listening.
Can this movie really be spoiled? I mean, I'm sure it can, but
I feel like I may have spoiled it at the beginning.
The final shot could be spoiled, I guess.
that's true.
That's about it, in my opinion.
Yeah. So who chose Solaris?
Chris.
That was the reason we are currently reviewing this right now.
That
think it was
would be me, because
It was
I am a
Chris.
man of the people, and I know how to pick movies that everybody wants to watch.
I know how to pick the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, it's been a while since we've done a Tarkovsky movie. I remember I really loved. Oh, damn it! What was
Stalker?
Stalker? Yeah, the other one that we did, which we really should do more Tarkovsky at some point. But yeah, I really love Stalker. So I was real excited to do Solaris, which I hadn't seen before. I think you guys had seen it. What I had seen.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
had seen the 2002 Soderbergh James Cameron joint that was 90 minutes. I saw that in the theater a long time ago, when it first
90
came out.
minutes. My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a
compared to
dream.
this film. Yeah. So it was interesting watching this one because it had been so long since I'd seen Solaris, the original, or not the original, the remake, and this being the second one. Man, I really like Stalker a lot, so my expectations are pretty high. I still rated this movie pretty high, but I think I was kind of disappointed. And I'm eager to have this conversation to kind of talk about it, and I think it's almost a disappointment that you would have, and I'm like, I just got to watch this another time. I got to let it grow on me. Because it's like a classic, and so many people love this movie. And oftentimes when we do these, and I'm like, I don't really get it, or it's not my thing. I'm like, what's wrong with me, as opposed to what's wrong with the movie? But it's really slow. Or deliberately paced, and I think in Stalker there was more of an inciting incident at the beginning, because Stalker's also deliberately paced, and it was slow, but I was much more into it and willing to go with the film. Whereas in this one, I feel like I'm not really into it until an hour into the movie, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so it was a real hard, in fact, I don't know if we were planning on doing this later, but I think we put out on Twitter, we wanted to get questions about, Stalker and stuff like that. And I think we got one response, and it was a guy that was like, this is the slowest movie ever. And I kind of think he's not wrong. I do respect it. I think it looks great. And I like the ideas that are in it. I just don't know that the delivery device is what I like. I don't know. Hopefully, upon a second viewing, also the other thing I would say is this is definitely like a vibe movie. Like you kind of have to be in the right spot, or like to enjoy this movie. Does that make sense? Like, perhaps going to the theater would be a better way to partake in this movie. I don't know. I'm really interested in what you guys think, but I'm kind of a little, wishy-washy on it. I'm eager to see if I can't be swayed one way or the other through this conversation. So, Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, like you, I thought of Stalker often during this movie. I have seen Solaris before, this version, not the Soderbergh version. But this is my first time watching it since seeing Stalker for the first time. And I can certainly see Tarkovsky's style on display. At least based on these two films. It's very slow and, like you said, deliberate. And in my opinion, that makes this movie and Stalker both more fun to look back on and dive into, rather than the actual experience of watching them. Like, I don't have a bad time, but when it's over, I have a greater sense of satisfaction than when it's happening and I'm having to like parse it and kind of I'm forced to like go with this movie's pacing, because it kind of doesn't move the way that you want it to, and it's probably going to move slower than you want, and it's a film that expects a lot from its audience.
Sure.
And like you said, I bet watching this in a movie theater would probably be the best way. When you can't get on your phone or look away super easily, and it kind of demands your attention, and you've sat down for a commitment of sorts. But all in all, I mean, it's very thoughtful. It's a movie that explains nothing to you.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention to some of the dialogue, and at the end of the movie you can't remember certain scenes, I can see someone walking away from this movie and being like, what was it even about? But if you can get on its wavelength, then I think there's a lot here to reward you, especially I think the last hour is
Agreed. Yeah.
is really great. I'm reminded a lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey in the sense that I'm pretty sure Tarkovsky like saw 2001: A Space Odyssey and was like, "Oh, people are calling this slow." Well,
I'll one up you.
yeah. Hold on. I'll make a space opera of myself that's even more ambiguous and even less is explained.
I'm gonna make a film so slow.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Exactly.
blow your
So,
mind.
anyways, like I said, I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it more than Chris. I don't think I enjoyed as much as Stalker, but I think it's quite good, and I'm glad I revisited it. And I've been thinking about the end ever since I watched it. So, yeah, Justin, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Chris, question: which would you rather sit through? Another viewing of Solaris, or me reading out the title of The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford?
I'm sleeping. No.
Yeah.
Another version of Solaris, please. That's what I would do.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Anyways, just to give full credit, the tweet that you're talking about was from at Mr. Fabulist, and it says, "Sorry, fell asleep reading this." That being our tweet about Solaris, and he says,
Okay.
"Solaris is so dull, it's coma-inducing."
Oh,
So-
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, just want to give him the full credit and the full experience of what he actually said. But to my thoughts on the movie, I mean, you guys have covered a lot of it. It's very slow paced, and I think the main thing I think that I felt watching it was what you said, Chris, is that you have to really be in the mood for this kind of
Yeah.
movie. I think to have a good time sitting through it. Like, there are times when I'm like, man, I just want to watch something super slow and artsy that I have to really think about. Like, it does happen. And,
Sure.
how often is that timing going to sync up when you have to watch it for a podcast? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I watched it after a day of hard work, like a type of thing, and I had to watch it in order, so
Yeah.
that's part of the problem too, maybe. I don't know. Go ahead.
But this is, I think, my third time to see it.
Oh, nice.
So I've sat through it 3 times, and I lived to tell about it.
Thank goodness.
And yeah, I think also what Mike says is that it's more fun to think about and more fun to talk about afterwards than to watch it. It's kind of like a Thanksgiving turkey. It takes like 8 hours to cook, or like a brisket.
Yeah. Real delayed gratification.
Yeah. Talking about this film and thinking about it is the fun part. That's like the eating the brisket or turkey part. Or any meal that takes a long time to prepare for anybody who doesn't like meat. But yeah, I do think that having seen Stalker, because this is my first time to see it since Stalker as well. Like, I do kind of see this as a lesser film than Stalker,
Yeah.
and like having seen that and like how much I loved Stalker, and as just very kind of like a surface level. Like I really love this despite it being slow paced. It was a lot more watchable and fun to think about. And I think it just makes me think a little bit lesser of this film than I did before, seeing how good Tarkovsky is with Stalker, because this previously I think was the only Tarkovsky film I've seen. And in a vacuum, I was like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen, you know?
Sure.
I think,
but now it's not.
Now
it's kind of like that Stalker movie you've seen.
Yeah. But I think it's interestingly shot. I'm kind of endlessly fascinated trying to think back on his use of black and white and different tints during the film, because sometimes it's true black and white, and sometimes it's like slightly blue black and white, and then sometimes it's full on color,
and then sometimes there's long, huge segments of the movie with no sound whatsoever.
Yes.
Which is a strange choice because there's no music or sound happening.
Yeah. I mean, there's almost no music in the whole thing, right? Like maybe I think it opens and closes
with the like church music or funeral music. I forget who wrote it. Something. It's like a famous composer that I should probably figure out.
Yeah. But in no way is he trying to entertain you, I don't think. Except for maybe when like the little person comes out of the room and the guy picks him up and snatches him like back in, and you're like really early on when he first gets to the spaceship. Like I find that very funny. Just because
I found it
surprising,
off-putting, and then I'm like, why is that happening?
Yeah. Because it's when he's like, both of the main character and us are getting used to like the spaceship, and we know something funny is going on, but we don't know what. And that happens. It's like, whoa,
yeah,
wild. I don't know. It's almost like, I guess it just makes me think of like Terry Gilliam or like Time Bandits or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
That sort of vibe.
It makes me wonder what is happening to these other people, because we never really figured that part out. Also, the music was by Bach.
Ah, there you go. But yeah, I'll leave it there. We can open it up for discussion if you guys want.
So I guess my first initial question here is, so I listened to some of the commentary on this movie, and they kind of pointed out things that would be great on a rewatch. Like, for instance, the balloon and some of the things he takes with him to the space station. And I was wondering, because it was a second viewing of you guys, I know there's probably quite a bit of time between the two viewings, or the three viewings. Did you guys catch on to any of these things that, like, on a second viewing? And did you find a deeper appreciation through a second viewing? Basically, I'm asking, should I watch this movie again?
I think it's been too long for me to remember enough to really grasp on. Like, that's a bit of the weird thing about a film this dense and this slow pace, is that like you don't necessarily want to watch it again anytime soon, but I almost think it's necessary. Like I think watching this next time, I would do like the commentary, or even just like if I was hanging out with you guys and for some reason we were feeling like, let's be pretentious and artsy, let's throw on Solaris and just like talk through it while we're watching it. Just kind of examine it together. Like that feels like the most fun way to watch this movie again.
Sounds like a good podcast episode.
Maybe like we do our own commentary
track. Yeah.
One thing that I was thinking about while watching it this time is Seinfeld.
Okay.
And
go on.
The reason is because, have you ever seen that episode of Seinfeld whenever Jerry meets 3 generations from the same family that all appear to be the same age?
I don't think so.
Like,
if that's like in the later half of the series,
like,
I haven't seen it.
He meets a guy, and then he meets like that guy's dad, and they look like the same age. They're just both old guys. That's how I felt about the main character and his father.
Oh.
Oh, right.
And, like, the main character looks like he could be the same age, if not older, than the actor playing his father.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was strange. It's not really a complaint, just sort of like an observation that it was strange casting, in my opinion.
Yeah, age is weird, like in the 70s, because I feel like sometimes people are like 20 years old but look like they're 45 by today's standards, you know, like or maybe they've been smoking since they're like 10 or something. I don't know, but it's hard to tell in the older movies like what people's ages are. I don't know. Do you guys find that a thing? I know that has nothing to do with Solaris, but
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Different styles.
yeah, I mean, like this guy is, he's like a Russian Charles Bronson or something almost.
sure, a little bit chubbier maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, but Charles Bronson, I mean, he looks like he's 50 for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
It's impossible by my count.
So, this station orbiting above Solaris and above the ocean, when he gets there, which, by the way, the shot approaching the station was really cool.
Yep.
And I also think it's funny, compared to 2001: A Space Odyssey and these other like space movies where people go and have an existential crisis in space, usually like the journey getting to space and getting to their location is like part of like the adventure, you know?
Yeah.
Like Ad Astra or Interstellar or 2001 or you know, whatever, Event Horizon, whatever the case. Like but like it seems like with this movie, the journey getting there is like really hand wavy, and he's just sort of there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like the only thing that moves fast in this whole movie. And watching it this time, I was like, I had forgotten that that he's just sort of like, I'm gonna go, and then there's like 3 shots and he's there.
Yeah.
We spent so much time before he even decided, or not decided to leave, but before he left.
Yeah,
And
like
then
I gotten used to watching traffic.
Yeah.
I think it's almost an hour into the movie. Is it when he's arriving?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we spend a lot of time, and a lot of it is in that house watching, videotape of the other astronaut who'd come back and explaining his experience.
And it's very strange what Tarkovsky does with point of view during that whole thing. It's like we're watching archival footage, but also they're talking directly to us. It's like, it's very interesting and strange the way it's done in this movie. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah. There's like different like angles and things like that they're doing, which typically you wouldn't really get like in an archival footage type of thing. It is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess like they're doing, or it reminded me, I guess, that After Gang might have pulled some influence from this, of the way that phone calls happen and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You just sort of look at a screen.
Yeah, you're just seeing someone
without any sort of UI.
Yeah. You don't really see the border necessarily. You just see like the shot that would be on the screen, which is interesting. And it took me a minute to put together that the old guy in the house was the young guy from the footage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I was able to put that together because his face is very unique.
Yeah. I was like, oh, they look alike, but I guess the situation seems like why would it be like 50 years between or 40 years, however long between like him coming back and them shooting this footage and then hitting up a psychiatrist or a psychologist to then go investigate. So the time kind of just threw me off a little bit. But I don't know. To me, I was like, that's the movie I'm here for. Like that's the movie I'm getting from Tarkovsky. I know I'm not going to be. I've got to like piece a bunch of stuff together, including that.
Sure.
Right. So there's a lot that's not really like said, and then when it's said, it's like 2 hours deep into the movie. But what's our main character's name? I forget. Our
His
protagonist?
name? Chris Calvin.
Oh.
Okay. Well, it seems like he's harboring a lot of guilt around the real Hari's death.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he's trying to put it out of his mind, and he's clearly not very happy. He spends his days like walking around a pond. And so it's almost like whenever he sees this apparition, he's like aware that it's not real. But then also, what is real? You know?
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's trying to give himself a second chance that he didn't realize he could, because I got the impression they weren't super close. He was kind of distant and aloof.
Sure.
Yeah. And it seems like he ends up caring about this version possibly more than the real version.
Yeah, because he's sat with the... What did he say? He said something like, I didn't love her like I should, but I love you more, is what he says to her. But he's lived with this memory for so long, and the guilt of not doing his best in the relationship, that he does see it as a second chance.
Right, but the thing is, what does that do to her?
Yeah, as somebody that's not... She's
Like,
not the original Harry.
Right, but she seems self-aware and self-questioning. But all she is, or what she seems to be, is like a version of his memory of her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like what is real? Like, you know, like at first, whenever she starts like trying to bang through the door, it's like almost like she doesn't. If she just exists as like his memory of her, can she even be alone?
Yeah,
You know?
and I don't think she can. There's a shot where he's sleeping, and we pan across the bed, and she's not there. And then he wakes up, and we pan back across the bed, and she's there. So I think what it's saying is that, she can't be there without his consciousness, Just like when we shut off this podcast, Mike and I will disappear since we are figments of Justin's imagination. So,
Yeah. So really, like when people listen to this podcast, I talk,
It's just
I
you
talk,
talking to
and then
nobody.
there's silence for
doing
a
different
few
voices.
minutes while you guys talk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I was thinking I'm just listening to you and nobody's hearing anything.
Oh, that would be interesting too.
Anyways, yeah. So when she's like trying to break down the door, I think you could certainly put it to the fact that she ceases to exist without him, or maybe she's feeling that some sort of like fading away or whatever, fear of dying,
Or like,
so to speak.
what is a purpose for existing?
Maybe
If it's not. I don't know. That's what I was kind of thinking.
but
Well,
I
that's a
think
good question.
there's a child, like I was thinking of like a child, right? Like she's this new being, and children can be like that, right? Of just like when the parent leaves the room or hands the baby to someone else who they don't know, or they're no
Right.
longer right there, like they can freak out. So
Right. And she eventually does start to be able to accept it being alone,
and
Sure.
grow.
So, what is her purpose? Like, where does she come from? I think she's a result of maybe radiating the ocean.
Well, I think that's kind of the point. Is I think honestly we're supposed to be left kind of wondering. The whole movie feels sort of like a missed connection for me. Like they're trying to communicate with the ocean, and the ocean's trying to communicate back with them.
Sure.
But I don't know that they actually ever connect in a way to where like they can communicate clearly.
That makes sense, yes.
Because like, what are some of the conversations they have at the end after she kills herself and the ocean stops sending new beings up to space, to the space station, and instead it starts providing islands, which obviously comes back at the end. But what is it they say? Like, we don't want other worlds, we want a mirror.
Oh, yeah, what we want, yes. We want something to conquer and, make our own, yeah.
Right. And then also, what is it, like, whenever they're having that existential conversation near the end, whenever they're talking about meaning of life and all that stuff, and Snout is basically like, the happiest people I know don't even think about these kinds of questions.
Sure, and that's why they're happy.
Right. Right. And I don't know if there's any being happy for this guy or stopping asking these questions.
Yeah. Was that any sort of statement on him being a psychologist? Well, I mean, isn't that?
I mean, maybe like his very profession is that of asking questions that will keep him eternally unhappy.
Well, and do those questions? Is the movie saying that those questions are what kept him, from human connection to begin with? This pursuit of knowledge.
Well, I also think it says, honestly, that we're happier without the answers. Like, we like to ask the questions, but if we start to discover the answers.
Sure. I think the most powerful line, or the one that stuck out to me the most, was he's like, without knowing when you die, it basically makes us immortal. Because you never know, and you just think you're immortal because you don't think about when you're going to die every time. I don't know. It's a really interesting. Also, that was an interesting shot of just his ear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that ear hair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We all have it, or we get it one day.
Yeah, second puberty. I'm starting to get it. You go through second puberty and you start getting hair in new places. So, yeah,
It's
like your
exciting.
nose and your ears.
That's good. Is that what this movie's about?
Second puberty, and you start thinking about death. That's because you're like, I've got fucking hair in my ears. I'm gonna die soon.
Yeah.
So that was my own.
I think I was
descent into
way
madness.
ahead of second puberty on thinking about death. To be honest,
Okay.
Yeah.
I blame Bergman.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me ask you guys, at the end, I think it's obviously heavily implied that he did not go back to Earth as
Absolutely.
recommended,
Yeah.
Right.
and instead found himself a little island in the middle of the ocean. But let me ask you, do you think that's why the ocean created those islands?
First of all, I'd like to call them Lylands because they're not true.
But what if they are, though? That's the thing.
Yeah. Well,
What if they are?
I think
Does the ocean want him to stay?
I think that it's trying to communicate. So yes, I think that this planet is they're trying to make a connection of some kind. So yes, I do think that it wants him to stay. For what purpose, I don't know. How about you, Justin? What are your thoughts on that?
I guess I kind of thought of it a bit more ominously. That
Okay.
that's the vibe that I get from that like final shot, and I don't know. I guess I always saw it as like the planet giving you, something deep in your mind that you long for. Because like I don't know, the people don't. Maybe I'm not remembering certain things that people get, but it doesn't seem like anyone's upset with what appears to them, right? It's always.
I think the other two guys are pretty upset or not happy with it. I think they got things much worse than what Chris got.
Did
I
they?
think.
Okay.
I get the impression, though, that they're looking at this more clinically, and Chris is immediately going about it from the wrong point of view because he's getting attached, and he's like bringing his own emotional hang-ups to the table, and possibly finding a bias that
Yeah.
that maybe they see in the because they kind of pointed out to him a couple of times. They're like, maybe you should chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also, sorry, if it gives you maybe like the thing you feel the most guilty about, like their things may not be like it's kind of seemed like one of them had a kid, so those things it may torture you.
Well, and then one of the scientists before he got there also killed himself.
Yeah.
So they also may look at that situation and be like, we're not going to let ourselves get too affected by this.
Sure.
Whereas Chris, he gets up there and he basically goes headfirst into this, his hallucination, and falling in love and trying to make it kind of like a situation that was probably always temporary or not meant to be what he's trying to make it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make it like he's trying to domesticate this, and it's like based on her decisions, it's like she doesn't want to be she doesn't want to exist just to like fill his void.
Sure.
I don't think that's her purpose.
Right. I guess I just got a vibe of like choosing to be blissfully unaware, you know, and maybe even a planet trying to give you something of like what that you want, something to, I guess, ensnare you, trap you, and maybe that's my own baggage or mistrust of things. But I just saw it as a bit more devious from the planet.
I don't think it's that. I think it's pointing out the flaw in humans, right? Where we want companionship, but do we really want a true person that's all their own? Or can we ever really know someone? Like, do you ever really know anyone?
Sure.
Right. I think that's
you could be married to someone, but you don't know them. You kind of just want a projection of them, like a version of them.
Yeah.
But then as Harry, the Solaris version, starts becoming her own person, she pulls away.
Yeah, that's a theme of the movie for sure. I guess I was talking specifically about like motivation of the planet or ocean.
I don't know if, I think that's supposed to be a mystery.
Yeah,
but
that's just
you look at it as
vibe.
more devious than.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get. And if we're talking about why is the planet / ocean doing what it's doing, I don't trust it.
See, I look at it as like possibly like they're trying to communicate and maybe give a greater truth, but humans are just too flawed and egotistical to look past themselves to see it.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of get mucked down in our own baggage.
Sure. What is our first reaction? It's like sending out weird things, and we're like, fucking let's radiate it. You know, like send nuclear bombs down there or whatever it is that they're doing. But, you know, attack it is what they're, you know, what it sounds like.
Yeah. I do agree with you, Mike, though, that this is about, you know, do you want a person that's, you know, so some people try to mold other people into them, like you know, do we as like Criterion fans want to like show someone who like just loves Criterion movies or pretends to love Criterion movies even when they don't? Like, do you want someone to just, you know, do you want someone to like fit that mold, or someone who's an individual that you know, learn to be with? Yeah,
that might get tired of you, or that might see things differently than you, or isn't here to exist for you to process your own like baggage through that lens. You know, like those are the questions I think that the movie really shines at asking.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's always been what I've looked back on the movie, like thinking about fondly. That's what it's all left with me, was like those sort of themes, which I think it's similar to what Stalker's doing, and I guess in some ways how the movies are similar is this sort of idea of what is actually inside of our minds, because, you know, if this thing is sending the things based on our memories and what's in our mind, like we can't necessarily control what comes out of that.
Right. So like, what is it sending and why? And what, yeah. And I don't know that there are clear answers.
Sure.
I think the questions are more interesting to Tarkovsky.
Yeah. Are we unknowable to ourselves even? You know,
right.
Can we live a life examined? Yeah.
The end is completely unexplained. Like, did he go to that island in that ocean on purpose? Is he trapped there?
I felt like he was trying to leave, and then he ended up there.
But doesn't he get a kind of a different version than his dad? Because him and his dad weren't getting along at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in this version, he is getting along with his dad.
Sure. It's interesting that he doesn't create a world or an island with the girl either. You know, like you'd think, because it seems like it's kind of like a paradise for him. You know, like he gets along, or it's like a special moment for him. I don't know. It's real interesting. I'm not exactly sure what to make of it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys make of the scene where he's kind of getting what I think was his mom and the girl mixed up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
Think both were deaths that he has not come to terms with, or has has lingering emotions about.
Wasn't his mom on the like at the beginning of the film? I thought
that
she was
her?
crying. Like, didn't she cry early
There are
on?
a couple flashes of her.
Yeah, like she was crying because he was leaving. Like when he was burning all the stuff in the fire. Obviously, she was like crying, and I thought it was because he was leaving. And that was his mom and dad, right? I thought.
But
He's
she's
living
older.
with his dad and his
Yeah,
aunt,
she was older
right?
at the time. Yes,
Oh, that was his aunt.
was it his
The
aunt?
dark-haired woman that he's living with?
Yeah, or that.
I think it's his dad and his aunt, wasn't it? And then the mom is dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I should watch this again.
Yeah.
the mom was the blonde woman
That
in pictures. And there's like a couple flashes of her. I think she's implied to be dead.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just a scene. I think it's in the spaceship, right? The space station. I mean, where
Where the girl
Where-
turns into the mom, right?
yeah, we're kind of cutting back and forth or flashing, moving the camera back and forth, and it's different ones at different time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and then there's
interesting.
like also that scene with like multiple of them at once.
Yeah. Well, the mom's like comforting him too, which is probably what he wants from the girl. I mean, in different ways, but like he just wants somebody to comfort him and to reassure him. I think is kind of maybe that's the ship trying to give him the same thing, or was he asleep? Is that when he's having the nightmare? Anyways, yeah, I don't know.
No, a lot of movie.
A lot of movie.
You know, another thing that I thought about that was kind of paralleled with Stalker was the traffic tunnel thing you mentioned earlier, Mike, where there's kind of the long section that's kind of the view from like the car, and it's going through tunnels. It made me think of the sort of transition to the zone in Stalker.
Oh, the train stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, where
and
they're
it's
just-
really rhythmic. Yeah, both of them are very rhythmic. So
Yeah,
Sorry, just
and I think it like both of them had this quality of just kind of like lulling you, like a hypnotic, just I don't know, but I don't know if that's like intentional to put you in some particular state of mind or some sort of relaxed, like not quite like half awake, half asleep, but I don't know, something to put you in
Yeah,
this
it's certainly-
surreal mode.
Yeah, it's certainly effective in getting you on its wavelength.
yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I nodded off during the traffic part, and I rewound it and watched it again because I was afraid I missed something. But in Stalker, you know, like the train part just made me more excited for some reason, and maybe it does have to do with like what kind of mood you're in. You're like, oh, you know, this is awesome or whatever. But yeah, I was not a fan of the traffic sequence, mainly because it put me to sleep.
Does that sequence exist in that Soderbergh version?
No, it's an hour and a half. Like
I doubt it.
They
that's really all
very
they cut
little.
out.
Yeah, it's just that one sequence.
It's shot for shot except for that sequence, and it's an hour and a half
Yeah.
shorter.
Yeah, I remember at the time reading a review for the Soderbergh sequence, and they're basically like, it's just like the Solaris, the 1972 version. It's like Solaris abridged. You know, it's just kind
Yeah.
of like the highlights of it. So, you know,
The
imagine.
radio edit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, I think maybe the difference is that traffic scene seems related to the guy who's been to the space station before, who gave his little testimony, right? Because he's in there, and he's not necessarily our main character, but we're there with him versus our main character. And
sure, yeah.
Stalker, we're with our three main characters, like seeing them. I think it
And we're
works a little better. I don't say it works better, but I guess just it has more to
think
do
it-
with the movie.
Yeah, in Stalker, you're also crossing over into the, like, I forget what it's called, but like the quarantine zone.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going into a place and you have an idea in your mind. The movie has told you this is where we're going. You know, whereas, and I think really the problem with this movie for me is that like there's not really an inciting incident. I mean, I guess the inciting incident is the footage of them talking about what happened, but I'm not really interested in what's going on that's the wrong way to put it. I'm not engaged with the movie until an hour into it. Whereas, like, I think I have questions in my mind when I'm watching The Stalker at the beginning, like, what's going on? You know, like, and let's cross over. They have the chase sequence and stuff like that. So,
well, I think also you didn't have these questions because you'd seen a remake that was an hour and a half long, so
yeah,
you
I already
knew where
know
we were going.
what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that was also. I mean, I haven't seen it since 2002, so
But you still remember what the movie's about
yeah.
on a basic level.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you know you're going to go to a space station and there's going to be apparitions. You know what I mean?
I'm like, yeah, we're an hour into this. Let's get to the space station already. I do think. I mean, a lot of times, a second viewing. I do think a second viewing would make me appreciate it more, and I'm going to go back at some point and watch it a second time. I just. My first viewing, it just isn't as what it lived up to. I always thought Solaris, like in my head, was above Stalker, so I was really expecting something, magnificent. But
Well, to some people it may be.
and that's true too.
Yeah, I think watching it this time, I think I understood a lot more the like people I know who have watched it, because I don't think I know many people who have watched Solaris, and those I do are not fans of it. Just I mean, much like the guy on Twitter was like, this movie is boring, and that's kind of the common complaint that I've heard about it from people I know who've seen it. Because I think when I was in grad school, the undergrads had to watch it in one of the film classes, and they were all just like, "Fuck this movie."
Sure, I mean, being assigned this movie would really make me dislike it more. And you're like, but yeah.
Yeah, I was always kind of like, I don't know, man. I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty rad. And I was basing that on my first couple times of seeing it. And I think now that, it's interesting on a rewatch, but like, I kind of know that I'm watching it so that I can grab stuff to talk about later.
Sure.
That's why I'm watching it, is to get things to think about, or next time I talk about the movie with somebody, and in this case we're doing a podcast, but like having that intention about it, I guess I understood that this movie is very slow a lot more this time, and I can understand why people would not like it and have a tough time getting into it if you're not there for what it's doing and you're not prepared and willing to go into it with that mindset.
Yep. Yeah. I am really excited to do more Tarkovsky at some point, like The Mirror or Andrei Rublev. I think will be interesting movies to do in the future with you guys.
Yeah.
Agreed.
His
is that all
movies are
we have
interesting.
about our main review for Solaris?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's choose our next options for the listeners to vote on for our next Casually Criterion episode.
Okay.
And so we're each going to choose a film. The theme here is Oscar nominations. So Criterion Collection films that have been nominated for an Oscar.
I think that have won Oscars.
Oh, okay. Are these winners all?
Yeah.
Oscar winners. That's what the tab says. So There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. Why don't you kick us off? What
Gonna make me go
film?
first.
I am.
Okay. I had a number one, but I feel like one of you guys might pick it, to be honest. So I'm going to skip over my first choice and go to my second choice, because it's also a film I've only seen once a long time ago, back when I was getting into like films and older films, and it was kind of one of those classic, like, you got to see this film. And that is from 1954, On the Waterfront, from Elia Kazan, starring Marlon
Nice.
Brando.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have only
I haven't
seen this one.
movie since I was like 19.
Yeah, same. And that's the only time I've seen it. And I've got the cool Criterion version here that I haven't ever dug into. I just have it because it's rad, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I want to watch this one again.
I was actually thinking about The Fugitive Kind the other day, and I was like, I need to see that movie again, too.
Yeah. Too bad that's not on this list, or you could choose it.
I know. Speaking of young Brando, though.
Yeah. Well,
All
speaking of choosing one, do you want to go next?
Sure,
Okay.
I'll do that. So mine is a film that I have chosen before, and it didn't win, and it probably won't this time, but I'm going to keep choosing it until it wins, because I'm incapable of watching this movie unless it's through this lens of a podcast. And that is Spartacus by Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, wow.
The last like feature-length Kubrick film that I have not seen.
Yeah, I think same for me.
So make it happen, people.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what do you choose?
All right, I am going to pick. I have two. One is one that's going to win it, I think. And, well, I don't know. Spartacus is a pretty big one, but the other one is one that won't win. So I'm going to pick, I guess, the one I think that has more of a chance to win, and that's the Philadelphia Story.
Oh,
Ah, nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I really love that movie, and I would love to be able to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
got
gotta
like all
be-
my favorite people in it.
Right? Yeah, it's just a great cast. The first time I ever watched this movie is just like I love every single main actor in this cast. How can this not
I'm
be
rooting
amazing?
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that'll be an easy one to watch if it wins after Solaris for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm sad I didn't pick my first choice now because I thought one of you guys was going to pick Raging Bull.
Yeah, well, I almost did. I didn't choose it because I figured it was too obvious.
Yeah. And when you were like,
Plus, I'm always going on about Scorsese, so I felt like it would be like too on brand. I'd be like,
Yeah.
people.
well, we'll save it for another day.
I was hoping that
Another
The
day.
Mirror had been nominated for like best foreign film or something, and
So
I
you
could
could make us do two
Tarkovsky
Tarkovskys in a
again.
row,
Oh my
and
gosh.
you would fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time sleeping, guys.
Yeah.
Tarkovsky really helps.
Better than melatonin. That Tarkovsky.
Yeah,
All right.
That's the Tarkovsky film that never got released. Melatonin.
melatonin.
Cool. All right. Well, that poll will be in the show notes. It'll be on our Twitter account. Again, just follow us there at Casual Cinecast. And with that, is there anything else we need to do? Are we done?
I don't think so. Stay tuned to this channel, subscribe, all that stuff. Our next episode will likely be over Women Talking, the movie.
Yep.
Nice. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.